It's my first look at the wide receiver position for week 16, and we're starting right now. What's up, guys? Welcome to another daily fantasy sports video. If this is your first time here and you want to become a profitable DFS player and get better at betting, start now by subscribing to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything along the way. And if you're already a Holkamaniac, you know exactly what time it is. Smash that like button and we'll get rolling. Wide receiver week 16. Only a couple more big main slates left, so make sure you guys are watching us live on Twitch as well. So twitch.tv/Joe Holka. That's where we're going through our first look each and every week. So if you're watching this on YouTube later, definitely come hang out with us. Kind of doing yourself a disservice if you're not getting involved a little bit more in the community. Obviously, we have a Discord server as well. Where a lot of that's where the data sheet is posted every week. So what you're looking at right now, especially something at the wide receiver position, some of these metrics that actually matter, some things that you should be actually paying attention to a lot more. I think it's a pretty valuable way to get access. I mean, this is something that I spend a lot of time putting together for everyone to try and bring value. So someone already is asking in the chat about can we go back to the well with AJ Brown? I think that was the price tag I was the most interested in seeing this week. So 7K for AJ Brown. It just feels like such a high efficiency scenario, right? Mentioned this on the review stream when going through the DraftKings Live Final. Yards per route run, again, consistently some of the best wide receivers in the NFL are ones that perform really well in this. Taking out some of the small samples, AJ Brown, 4.2 yards per route run is completely off the charts. Michael Thomas, 2.9. Julio Jones, 2.5. Devontae Parker, 2.4. Like anything over, like honestly, like 2.2, 2.3 is elite. 4.2 is just smashing everything right now. So maybe this price tag is warranted. The volume overall isn't fantastic. It's because the offense isn't throwing a ton. But in general, it's one of those ones that I think we have to at least kind of, from a ceiling perspective, piece our way through against New Orleans. New Orleans is a team that can be beat over the top for sure. We've seen that. Noel fan likes to remind me of that every slate, I feel like. So AJ Brown getting deep for one, I could see it happen for sure. It seems like a really tough price tag for me personally. It's Mookie's asking about Julio. Yeah, let's talk about Julio. 8K. Going back to Julio after the explosion spot, maybe not the best thing, but nice total at home against this Jacksonville team who, I mean, if they've just given up, maybe we just go back to Julio and feel pretty good about it. Interesting for sure. So I think that's a nice total for sure. I mean, weighted opportunity, I mention it every week, but target market share, air yards market share, just one of the most predictive metrics there is, or at least it's at least very descriptive of kind of how they're seeing targets. So Julio at 8K is super interesting. AJ Brown, again, still top 5 in that regard. I think that AJ Brown at 7K versus Julio at 8 just seems very close now at this point, a little too close for comfort. I guess what's an interesting scenario too. So Michael Thomas, we mentioned him before, 9,300. What are we doing with this guy? We don't like running. I mean, we just finished running back, and the running back stuff is just not great. So maybe it's just a Michael Thomas week if we want to prioritize guys like that. Definitely no issues with his floor whatsoever. In theory, Tennessee is, I mean, you can beat them in the short area of the field a little bit better than the deep area of the field. So yeah, Michael Thomas certainly in play. DJ Moore, 6,600 on FanDuel. Hashtag Steve in the chat. Mention that one right away. Yeah, dude, that's a interesting price tag. I guess depending on what happens with the quarterback situation in Carolina. But yeah, that's a great price tag for him for sure. Who else looks like drastically underpriced to you guys? I think the James Washington thing, like, I don't know. Do we want to attach ourselves to the Pittsburgh offense right now? I get that it's the Jets. I think I might just prefer Deontay Johnson because he's the one that's seeing like the really deep targets. Maybe it's a coin flip between either of these guys, but tough one to click for me personally. Jarvis Landry, with everyone on him last week, does have a really tough matchup this week against Baltimore, top 5 and defending the short area of the field. So don't love Landry. I would want his price to come down a little bit. Talked about Haskins kind of jokingly, but his price, 4,700, I believe, on DraftKings, pairing him with McLaurin. Very cheap stack. McLaurin top 8 in weighted opportunity over the last 4 games. That's kind of the optimal sample size, 27th at defending the deep and short area of the field. The Giants are a team that can be beat for sure. And that's a decent total for Washington, believe it or not. So McLaurin at 62, it's at least interesting for tournaments. So I don't hate it. Someone in chat saying they can't help but click Mike Williams every single week. Yeah, I was on the Mike Williams train for quite some time, so I was definitely with you. Another good spot for him. Again, like still hitting a lot of these things that we value. His yards per route run is pretty strong. He's not scoring a ton of touchdowns right now, but kind of turning that corner, hopefully. Oakland can definitely be beat through the air. 29th at defending the deep pass. So 5K for Mike Williams. I can get on board with that one. Can definitely get on board with that one. On the other side, like, what do we think about Keenan Allen, I guess? Like, Keenan Allen's not someone that I've played a ton of, but I noticed him when we were looking at A.J. Brown in terms of his yards per route run. 6,300 for Keenan Allen, same spot. I don't know. I think that he's at least got to be in the consideration because he's going to see volume. We're just looking at projected receptions. I'm projecting Keenan Allen for the 4th most receptions on the slate, so it could be interesting. Devontae Parker against Cincy to stack with Fitz. Oh, yeah. Could see that being very popular this week. Whoa, why is Devontae Parker 6,800? Is that right? Seems cheap. Yeah. I like that quite a bit. Before we go any further, I'm always trying to find unique and creative ways to give back to the community and at the same time try and get you guys involved in what we're trying to build here. So if I hit 10K followers on Instagram before the Super Bowl, I will be free rolling one lucky member of the Holkamania community 150 lineups for the Super Bowl showdown slate. I do think this is something that we can definitely accomplish as a community. It was one of my goals for the NFL season, and it is something that you can enter this drawing multiple times by really helping out across my platform. So a couple of things that you can do: retweet anything from me when I'm talking about this contest on Twitter at Joe Holka. You'll get an entry. Retweet anything from me that links to my YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or LinkedIn. You will get an entry. If on that original tweet, you do reply with your DK username. So retweeting is one thing. I'm going to need your username to tally all of this up. Another great way to kind of get involved and get more entries into this drawing is to comment, like on a new YouTube video, Instagram post, or LinkedIn cheat sheet. This is all going to be within 24 hours. So if you see one of my videos go up, again, hit that notification bell so you know when all my videos go up. All you have to do is post your DK username in the comments. Let's see what else we got here. Isn't this the week where Michael Thomas can break the receptions record? Seems like something Sean Payton would do for him. Yeah, that's an interesting narrative. I'm not a big narrative guy, but I mean, it's hard to argue with Michael Thomas being projecting for by far the most volume at the position. So at that point, 9,300, we're talking about all these guys for a lot cheaper price tag, but nowhere near the safety of him for sure. I just haven't played Michael Thomas enough this year, that's for sure. Steve's kind of been right with me on that. I mentioned that in the chat too. So yeah, maybe it's not too late. Robbie Anderson at 5,700. Really tough matchup. The target share is decent. I don't know. Seems like a rough spot for someone like Darnold to do well. Pittsburgh's a team or a defense, I should say, that pressures really well. So targeting Darnold with that poor offensive line with a low total. Robbie's 5,700. Maybe if he was like closer to where he's been priced recently, like in the high 4Ks, maybe low 5Ks, it'd be interesting. But I think he's overpriced. Really tough spot for him. I think you'll get him at super low ownership, though. Courtland Sutton is a guy that's had a couple really bad matchups in a row. I guess still keep an eye on what's going on with Noah Fant, but he was back. I could see going back to Courtland Sutton at some point. His target share has been relatively safe at that price point, so that could be interesting. Nate's talking about Kirk at Seattle. I could see that. Let's take a look at Kirk. Everyone kind of jumping off that bandwagon. I will say his targets do look like they've been on the decline from where they were at the beginning of the year, where it was pretty elite, but still top 10, 12 or so on weighted opportunity. His yards per route run isn't great, but they're not airing it out, so that could be part of it. Seattle, I mean, they've been better than people realize, I think, like especially against like the deep passes, 4th best in the league, but I don't know how much Kyler's going to air it out anyway. So yeah, I could see Christian Kirk. I think I prefer Mike Williams. But yeah, I could see Christian Kirk being a thing again. I'm kind of have a little bit of biases towards some of those guys for sure.
Who else? Should we talk about Danny Amendola, since some really sharp people played him last week and I guess wasn't on that train? Let's see what he's at. Danny Amendola, 4,900. Denver is relatively strong in the short area of the field, 8th best. But there's going to be volume there. Yeah, if we're sorting by projected receptions, Danny Amendola at 4,900, top 5 on the slate. I don't know. Seems like kind of cute to go back to that well, like getting the 100-yard bonus from Amendola. Shout out to all the people that got it from him last week. I don't know if that's going to be a regular thing. Let's see what else we got here. Back to Slayton. Yeah, I have like kind of a soft spot for Slayton because he's been just such a high upside play that's been getting there. 5,500. Yeah. Washington typically we'd like to kind of target short. So what about a guy like Sterling Shepard for like 600 more? I think that Shepard could be a pretty decent matchup. Someone mentioned before, like in this same range, Tyler Boyd. Probably shouldn't have skipped over him. Maybe someone mentioned it before, but as a bring back on Fitzpatrick Parker stacks, Tyler Boyd 5,800. Like still not like the elite target share we were seeing before, but it is a fantastic matchup against Miami. So I could see that being a decent direction to go this week. Chris Conley's 4,300 still. It's kind of a weird matchup for him probably against Atlanta. But Chris Conley's still priced at a decent spot for his air yards. How's Perriman look this week? Called him last week and he went off. Oh, Tampa Bay's not on the main slate this week. We'll have to talk about that for, I believe it's on the Saturday game. Yeah. So we'll talk about him tomorrow. Anyone else, guys? Wide receiver? I think we talked about almost every high-end play that I'm seeing this early in the week. Maybe DK Metcalf? We didn't talk about him, I guess, against Arizona. 5,900. Awesome total. Great matchup. Yeah, maybe DK Metcalf, like slightly priced up a little bit for the matchup, but I think he's interesting for sure. Justin wants to look at Gallup. All right, let's look at Gallup. Yeah, Gallup will be interesting just because of kind of how he failed last week with some people on him. We'll see. 9 targets back-to-back weeks for Ward. Basically, Ward is still kind of patrolling that short area of the field. But, yeah, let's see what his price is. I'll bring him up quickly. 4,200. FanDuel, he's 5,700. Against Dallas, 9 targets in back-to-back games, like a smart person in the chat was talking about. Makes me a little bit nervous that he got there so late in the game, but he does have 3 red zone targets last week, 2 the week before. So at least he's being looked at in that area of the field when it's not Ertz, at least. So, yeah, maybe no issues with Ward at 4,200. I think I would still prefer, like, Chris Conley maybe at that same exact price range. Yeah, I think that it's yeah, that's an interesting one though. 4,200. I guess yeah, Greg Ward's got to be back in play for sure, especially if they're still going to be banged up in that. I think we do want to play Ross because I'm a sick T-Gen. What did Ross end up doing last week? He wasn't really on my radar. I think if you were going to try and attack the Patriots, you would want to do it with like a big play threat. Just had 3 targets, 2 catches for 24. Maybe. I mean, since he's Miami, there's worse spots to take a shot on someone like John Ross. I don't hate it, actually, man. He's definitely not playing much yet, but if that increases, you're going to want to be early. For sure. Doozy said, I like the Ross idea better before anyone else did. Always the contrarian.
If you want to learn more about how to be a profitable DFS player and get better at betting, start now by hitting the subscribe icon in the bottom right-hand corner so you don't miss anything. If you want to take that a step further, come hang out with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Joe Holka. I go live every Sunday morning at 10:30 Eastern time to get you ready before kickoff. I'll see you then.